What is up, everybody? Welcome to Wednesday night football discussion. Me, DJen, my co-host Ian. Ian, how are you this evening?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Just out here on the head coaching carousel, which is Seattle right now. We lost two of them last week, so now we finally got one of them. We got the Fisher out of Arizona for UW and interviewing up a ton. I guess Dan Quinn comes in tomorrow, and then Raheem Morris and some other guys on Friday and Saturday. So looking forward to find out who's going to be the new leader of the Hawks for sure. So.
It's a dynamic world in the NFL right now with all these coaching changes. I'm waiting for my coaching changes to come as well. We'll see if they come. I don't know. All I know is the Philly faithful are calling for Nick Sirianni's head on a stick. So will he last? I don't know.
Did you see the guy throw the popcorn on him? The Eagles fan? Oh, I can't imagine how much trouble that guy got into.
He probably did.
It was, oh man, it was crazy.
He probably did.
But I'm going to toast to the Dallas Cowboys for keeping Mike McCarthy. That means we'll know they might make the playoffs next year, but we know they'll lose again. So thank you, Jerry Jones.
Literally, that made my day. So I was eating dinner, right? Having an day, not a great day, not a bad day, just a meh day. Eating dinner, chefing it up. Me and girlfriend DJ are over there eating. And I see the push notification from Adam Schefter, and I was like, who? So I look, and I see that they're keeping him. My day, 1,000 times better. I mean, as an Eagles fan, you can't hope for anything better than that.
No, you can't.
So, all right, we're going to get into some football chat real quick. Say hi to Joe Ramus. How are you? Wildcard weekend only had 2 games worth watching. Others were blowouts. That's a fact. Not a lot of good games, I'll be honest with you. I was watching them. I was excited for some of them. Others I didn't really care that much about. And it kind of lived up to that. So let's get into it, though. Let's get into our discussion. You guys know who we are, right? Ian first place in the pick'em. Me second. Last week our picks may not have lived up to those stats, but it's okay because we can come right back this week. So playoff bracket, right? This is what we were looking at. Starting the playoffs, and this is what we're looking at now. There were some interesting matchups last week. We're going to recap them quickly. So Houston-Cleveland. What'd you think about that one? We both had Cleveland winning that game. Thought it would come down to about a play or two, maybe. Could go either way, but we both trusted, I think, Joe Flacco a little too much.
Boy, those back-to-back pick sixes were just brutal, weren't they? And I mean,
yeah.
C.J. Stroud showed, everybody that doubted him. I mean, yeah, he was drafted number 2. There was a lot of people that questioned whether or not the kid had it. Boy, he was dealing. And I love to see it because that Cleveland defense is just, they're all this or all that. That left tackle from Houston, Myles Garrett didn't have much. I mean, he was really quiet. And to quiet that guy down, who I think is the best defensive end in the league, the guy's just a wrecker. But, hey, Cleveland's missing a lot of people. I mean, let's get everybody back next year. It's going to be funny to see what they do with Deshaun Watson, to be honest with you. Is he another like Russell Wilson cut bait, get give up all those draft picks for a guy that never amounted to anything? Or, do you bring Flacco back? I mean, it was a fun game. Let's be honest. The 2 pick sixes, I was shocked. I was sitting here screaming and yelling. I was like, oh my gosh, man, I couldn't believe that they'd be able to get to that. But hey, kudos to Houston for taking it to them. It was fun to watch those guys too in the locker room afterwards. Just getting excited. That coach couldn't even talk during the press conference at the end of the game because his voice was gone.
D'Amico Ryans was emotional.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a good game, though. That was a good game. That was our game we were kind of most excited for. I'll be honest with you. I think that one lived up to the hype quite a bit. Those 2 pick sixes, though, they did kind of cement the game a little bit.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Next game we weren't too excited about. Kansas City's going to win that game with not really that much of a fight for Miami, and that's kind of what happened. To hold Miami to, 7 points? I mean, that game.
How bad is Tua, though, Chris? Seriously, he's got 1 year left on his contract. They're saying that, okay, pick up the 5th-year option. It's like, $22 million or something like that. But what do? Do you pay that guy like you pay somebody like Geno Smith, 25-year, give him a 3-year deal? He's not a $40-50 million quarterback. I mean, you throw Kirk Cousins. Yeah, you throw Kirk Cousins in that lineup. Yeah.
Miami's in a real tough spot because that's the thing, right? So he's on his list. They could pick up the 5th year on him, right? The problem is last year, everybody's concerned, is he even going to play football this year because of his concussions, right? And they seem to figure that out. But I think a lot of people are also forgetting the hip injury that he had in college.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? So in my opinion, he's very damaged goods, right? Very, very damaged goods. I wouldn't be paying him the money that he's going to be, asking for, right? Because the quarterback market now, like you said, it's a $40-50 million market, right? I don't think Tua is worth anywhere near that. I'd be hard-pressed to pay him the 23 that they have to pay him if they want the 5th-year option. Yeah. So I think Miami's in a tough spot. They're going to have to see what they're going to do with him. The other thing, if they pay him, who are they getting rid of? Because Miami doesn't have a ton of cap space.
No, and that's the question. That's the big question, right? Is you've got 2 dynamic number 1 receivers in Waddle and Cheetah. I mean, although the Cheetah got pushed around a little bit in Kansas City, but and then you got 2 good running backs. You got A-Chain came out and just killed it. Raheem Mostert had 13 touchdowns and Pro Bowl this year. So the offensive line could get some help, but I don't know where. I mean, they need help on the defensive side as well. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what Miami does. I mean, that GM's going to make his money now for sure.
Yeah, they will. We'll see. I don't know. They got a lot of fixing to do there, though. Next game, Pitt, Buffalo. Game was actually flexed. It was supposed to be Sunday afternoon game, turned into a Monday afternoon game because of the weather and stuff. I'll be honest with you, Pitt surprised me a little bit. They put up a little bit of a fight there at one point. The game was still a blowout. I said 17 points. I said I wouldn't be shocked if they won by more than that. I think Buffalo could have. Again, didn't expect Pittsburgh to put up 17, but did fully expect Buffalo to run away with that game. So that game, not very interesting to watch. I was working while I was watching it. Buffalo, I mean, they're a juggernaut right now. They're in my opinion, they're the best team in the NFL right now.
Well, I mean, just did you look at the 52-yard scamper for a touchdown from Allen? That was impressive. I mean, that's a big man running hard. Yeah, I bet you do.
And I think you know where I'm going to go with that. The fake slide.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's you know how that is.
It's tough as a defensive player in the NFL now, right? Because he looked like he was about to slide down. And then all of a sudden, juked the guy, right? Made him look silly and then kept going. Now, props to Josh Allen, right? Because, he still made it happen. 52-yard run for a quarterback of his size. I mean, good for him. But I don't know. I don't know if that may implement some kind of rule change coming down the line here with the the fake slide because a lot of people are not a fan of that.
Yeah, I mean, like the Kelsey said, they're showing they were talking about all the rule changes that are going to be on the docket for next year. That's one that I think you have to address because you're giving these guys, 15-yard penalties when they're hitting a guy in the shoulder pads, even not even at times always hitting them square in the helmet. It's turned into the no fun league. It has been for years, right? They've changed that all to where DBs can't really do much anymore, and you touch the quarterback and and it's like 15-yard penalty every time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when they look at the rule changes for sure. But he's still, man, the guy's a beast, man. He's just
He is.
Listening to him on the sidelines, I think it's great. He never calls anybody by their name. It's all by numbers. Hey, 14. Yep. It's
right.
like you don't know who Diggs is. You just got, hey, 14. You got to run that route a little harder. Yeah, hey, 17. Throw me the ball.
Yeah.
It's
right.
Like classic. Yeah.
That was AFC. We'll go over to NFC quickly. There's really only one game I want to talk about in the NFC. The Eagles-Bucks game, that was atrocious. We had the Eagles. I said I wasn't confident in them. Said I wouldn't be shocked if they lost. They did what they've been doing for the past 6 weeks, playing like garbage and getting beat. There's a lot of problems in that game. Couldn't pick up a blitz to save their lives. I think the Bucks blitzed on like 66% of the snaps and couldn't make an adjustment. Like, what are you doing? That game wasn't very good, though. That game was a blowout. Baker Mayfield looked like freaking Tom Brady out there.
That's exactly what I was going to say. For a $4 million quarterback who's picked up off the heap, right? To be able to to throw for I think he threw for like 330 or 340, something like that. And how much money did that guy make? Talk about how much money to a loss versus. Oh yeah, somebody's going to give that guy $25 million a year.
They're going to have to.
He's a free agent. Yeah, so they're going to have to pay him in order to be able to find out. So I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of John.
A lot of John back and forth. One thing too, the Eagles secondary has been Swiss cheese for a while now. We all know it. But the guy who caught one of the touchdowns, Dave Moore, I actually looked this up because I was so interested in it because I hadn't heard of this guy really. And, I know pretty much every player on every team, and I had not heard about this guy very much. I looked it up, and I was shocked. This guy going into that game all season long had 5 catches for 94 yards and 1 touchdown. All season long, 5 catches, 94 yards, 1 touchdown. In the first quarter, he had 2 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. So he may have made himself a name as well.
Yeah. Well, isn't Godwin going to be a free agent at the end of the year? I think he was a free agent.
I think Godwin is,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, you got to keep him, though. I mean,
yeah, you got him. You got Evans. Evans is still under contract. But I know they have a couple guys on the line who are due to expire, so we'll see what they do. There's gonna be a lot of shakeups this year, I think. Like more than I think the thing this year is a lot of shakeups with some big names. Very interested to see kind of what happens with that. Other game was Detroit and the Rams. We thought this game would be a shootout. The first half was an absolute shootout. It was so exciting to watch. In the second half, I fell asleep. The second half was a snooze fest. Props to the Lions, though. They did it. They got their job done. Good game in the first half, though. The first half is what I expected the full game to look like. How
can you not show up for that game when you had everybody that's even remotely, associated with, they Calvin Johnson there, they had Eminem there, they had Barry Sanders there, they had everybody there, but kudos, you got at least on both sides of the quarterback draw. You got Stafford that was like, hey, man, I'm happy for the Detroit fans. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty Bush League. The Detroit fans were going after Stafford's kids. That's kind of BS. Those guys, those terrible. Fans should. I mean, I don't care. You can boo their dad, but don't boo the kids, man. That was just Bush League and a half. But then on the other side, you got Stafford, man, but Goff, who gets traded to these guys because they say he can't get it done. And boy, he got it done. He slung it. It was so cool to see at the end too, the whole stadium just chanting his name.
That was pretty cool.
waiting around. Those guys were there forever. It's like they're like, dude, we haven't been here since 1991. Let's soak it up. You know,
literally, right?
Yeah, just it was
and
crazy.
Then,
I mean, yeah.
Go ahead. It was a good game. Good. Lions looked good. Then my game of the week. I don't even know what. I mean, Dallas got the pants beat off them. They lost that game they got beat in every aspect. Defense, offense, special teams. I mean, they got, you know how we were talking about Micah Parsons over 4.5 tackles? Thought it was an absolute, like, why is that line so low? Whew. I don't know what he finished with, but it wasn't 4.5. I know that because I lost the bet.
Yeah. Yep. No, it was ugly. I mean, not only that, but there was talk about Dallas being one of the top 5 ranked defenses and just got it handed to them. I mean, the tight end that was open by 25 yards to basically walk in, not Laporta, but the other guy. I think that was
Croft.
Croft, yeah. I mean, there's nobody around him. I mean, they looked terrible. Couldn't tackle, nothing. And
obviously,
everybody's just enjoying it, right? I don't outside of the Dallas fans ready to commit suicide because they lost to Green Bay again. And so, I mean, when you look at that game, Doe, boy, that was a coming out party for Love, Doe. 16 to 21 for 277. I mean, talk about another guy that's going to get paid. That's another guy that's going to get paid for sure.
100%.
I mean, the last 6 weeks, nobody's slung it better. That guy's second most in TD touchdown passes. I'm just like, my stars, man. I would have never thought that when they drafted him 3-4 years ago that he'd be able to do that. And impressive, right? Dobbs I mean, where's that kid been all year? I mean, he's so streaky. He'll probably throw a donut hole up in the next game against San Francisco. But he dominated that game. I mean, they could not guard him. He was open all the time. It was good to see that, and then Aaron Jones, right? A guy that for fantasy owners couldn't stand that guy. Threw up, I think it was like 133 and 3 TDs, something like that. I don't know off the top of my head, but he went off and they couldn't stop him. He was running right at him and they couldn't stop him. So impressive, hands down. I mean, I'd love to see a 7 seed squeak in. I wish that was the Hawks that played him and did that to him instead of Green Bay, but we probably would have lost.
We'll take the Green Bay win.
We'll take the Green Bay win. It's everybody but Dallas, man. It's like
right.
It was great because somebody sent a meme around that had Dallas and all the first round losses in the playoffs that they had.
I think I sent that to you.
Was it you that sent that to me? Oh,
it
man,
might have been. I think I
sent that around to everybody. I sent that thing around to everybody because it was so perfect, right? The only bad thing about it is it put a lot of doubt in other people's mind about, DQ and can he get it done as a head coach. So, but they kept McCarthy. Dumb move. I think that was a dumb move keeping McCarthy. I think you had every chance. There it is right there, everybody. Look at that.
There it is.
Lost.
Just losses all around.
It's the best, man. It's the best. But, you had a chance to move away from McCarthy. You had a chance to get Belichick. I think that was a mistake by not doing that. I think that, it's great for the rest of us that are in the NFC, right? Your team and my team. Dallas it just goes to show you, smoke and mirrors a lot of time. But they were 16-0, and to come and get motorboated the way they did at home, I mean,
and this score doesn't reflect how badly they got beat too.
Yeah,
because there's people talking about how Dak played. Listen, all right, even not from an Eagles fan perspective, right? Skip Bayless, who's a diehard Cowboys fan, is asking for him to be taken out of the game, right? I mean, his stats, I'm going to use Shannon Sharp's now, they're empty calories, right? I said it to you in the pre-show. He threw for, 250, 300, and 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter against the second string of Green Bay. That's how bad they were beating them. They had their second stringers in the game. Yeah. Simone Biles' husband, Owens, I don't even know his first name, made an appearance.
That's Taylor Swift, Kelsey South, right? Is Simone Boyce,
Yeah.
But I mean, I talk about a game that I just enjoyed watching. I did. I enjoyed watching just the total domination after Dallas was so confident. We're the number 2 seed. Can't wait to play San Francisco in the conference championship and just get motorboated out. I loved it. You and I both said last week too, what's up with Pollard? Pollard was supposed to be the man after, Zeke left. He only averaged like 3.5 yards a carry in that game.
Non-existent.
Like, come on, man. It wasn't
and they
like
shut Lamb down.
Yeah.
The only guy who ate was Ferguson. Again,
yeah,
empty calories to me. He was playing well the whole game. I'll give it to him. He was playing well.
He had some sweet catches. You have to admit, Ferguson, he looked like, a tight end supposed to look like in Dallas, right?
He looked like Jason Witten-esque. He did.
Yeah. I didn't want to mention that, but yeah.
All right, let's get into this week's games, what people are here for.
Let's do it.
We're going to kick it off with our Saturday afternoon game, 4:30 on the East Coast, 1:30 on the West Coast. Got the Ravens up against the Texans playing in Baltimore. Ravens 9.5-point favorites, number 1 seed overall. A lot of hype surrounding the Ravens. Over-unders 43.5. Kick it over to you, Ian. What do you think on this game?
Well, they played in week 1, right? And the Ravens won 25-9. But that's C.J. Stroud's first game. That was a millennial ago. The guy is 21-2 TD to touchdown ratio versus winning teams. When I read that stat, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Are you serious? And then you look at Lamar hasn't played in 3 weeks. Is he going to be rusty? Who knows?
Yep.
I mean, obviously we know they're going to run the ball. His record's 1-3 in the playoffs, 4 total TDs and 7 turnovers with a 68.3 passer rating. Okay, so now we're going to get into it. What does that mean? I think based off of that, the Ravens are going to run the ball. You got a guy, who you've got Gus Edwards, 800 yards. You got Lamar, 800 yards. You got, what was the other guy? Justice Hill ran for another 400 yards. They're going to run the ball. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I think, wild card weekend, when you look at it, it's the Texans held Cleveland 20 attempts for only 56 yards. That's 2.8 yards a carry. So we're going to get into some. I think it's going to be. This is going to be a good game. I don't think it's now. The question is can Stroud hold up against the pressure? I mean, Jackson. I mean, he is the MVP. I mean, they're going to give it to him. They were chanting in the locker room. You've got a great defense on Baltimore's defense. But you look at Stroud's last week, man, you're talking about an elite secondary that he played last week. He put up 274, 3 TDs with a rating of 157.2. That kid just puts up 100 rating. They might be in this game. So you're talking about one of the best pass rushing teams. Nico Collins, dominates anytime. Last week he had 7 targets, 6 receptions, 96 yards, and a TD. The tight ends, scoring touchdowns 2 last week. So, when I look at this one, the Ravens, it's going to come down to who's going to protect the ball. Because both of these guys, when they do turnovers, they're terrible. Ravens are 2-4, record with 2+ turnovers. The Texans last week had 4 sacks, 7 QB hits, with 2 pick sixes. Man, this is going to be a game. I think, now it could be a blowout like it was in week 1. I don't know. But when you look at it, the Ravens at home have scored 31+ points in 6 out of 7 games. Wow. We look at that over-under right there, 43. That's something to take a look at as well. But Stroud has had a sub-9 rate against, teams on the road where he's 4-7. So, there's a lot of good stats as we're going through it, just taking a look to see what they can do. I think 9.5 is a ton of points. I don't know if I'm prepared to say take the 9.5 yet, but I think this game is going to be interesting. It's going to depend on how much pressure they get up front. That front four of Baltimore is tough. And then on the other side of the Texans, you got Cashman, who's, dominating defensively. Give that kid, he's just so fast around the ball. But Ravens deep, number one at, 74.6 yards per attempt, first 5.9. Ravens have 60 sacks and 114 QB hits. Can they rattle the young buck? That's going to be the question. Because they're going to run the ball. Who's catching the ball for Baltimore? Seriously. You got
OBJ, Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers.
Mark Andrews, potentially. He was a full participant in practice.
Well, Likely's done a good job filling in.
Likely's good, yeah.
And he's getting the ball. I mean, they're throwing him the ball just like they would Andrews. But
yeah,
I think when it gets down to it, I definitely take the Ravens straight up just because it's at home. Do I take the 9.5? I'll push it back to you and hear what you got to say, and then I'll tell you if I'm going to take the 9.5.
All right. You want to hear something very interesting with this spread?
Give it to me.
You said they played week 1. You know what the spread was in week 1?
No.
9.5. The Ravens were favored by 9.5 in week 1. I think these are two very, very different teams now. I think the Ravens are a very good team. I think the Texans have shown that they're a hell of a lot better than the books were giving them credit for in the beginning. Yeah. Now, obviously, they got blown out in week 1. You already said it, right? They're going to run the ball. Ravens have the number 1 rushing offense. They average 156 yards per game. It's going to be interesting, though, because the Texans have the 6th best rushing defense. They only let up 96 yards a game. So, Baltimore's success is going to come through the run. We'll see what happens with, the passing attack. I think Lamar's going to have to throw the ball at some point to make them, progress. I think the run is going to work. I think the Texans will stop the run eventually, though. They're going to give them some trouble. Listen, C.J. Stroud, he's been looking money. Money, and I'm going to tell you right now, I looked at this game, right, and knee-jerk reaction, Ravens are winning. Okay? Yep. I think the Ravens are going to win this game. But the 9.5 is way too many points. I would take the Texans at 9.5 in a heartbeat. However, I think the 1 seed is on upset alert here. I think there's an upset alert happening.
Holy moly.
I think the Texans are going to come out here, okay, and they're going to establish themselves with a deep passing game from the start. Nico Collins, first drive, touchdown. Okay? They're going to go and they're going to run all over this team. The Ravens are not going to know what hit them. I am convinced upset alert inbound. Why do I say that? We already know the Ravens have the best rushing offense. Their passing offense, though, is 21st in the league. Okay? So when it comes down to passing, I don't think they're going to be able to get it done. Texans' passing defense is not very good, so that's the only thing that Lamar has going for him is Texas passing defense 23rd. So not a great passing defense, but I think they're going to stop the run enough to make it actually work. And, people are saying, oh, the Ravens defense is good. They're 6th. Yeah, well, look what C.J. Stroud just did to the number 1 defense. He tore them apart, picked them right apart, surgically picked them apart. So, I don't know. I'm seeing an upset alert here.
If you're seeing an upset, straight up, I could you imagine what the money line would be on that if you took the money line on that? That'd probably be 190. That'd probably be 190, 200. What is it?
370.
370.
370.
Yeah. Boy, put 10 dockets on that, man. Put 10 dockets on that.
I'm gonna have. I mean, listen, I like the Texans on the spread already. I'll sprinkle the money line a little bit. I do think Baltimore will win this game. It's going to come down to it. It's going to come down to a Justin Tucker field goal. I can tell you that. But I think the Texans could be on upset alert here. And Mel asked, by the way, good evening, Mel. If weather will be a factor. So weather will be a factor Friday. I don't think it'll be Saturday. It's going to be cold in Baltimore. I pulled up the weather. It's looking like a high of 27, partly cloudy. So I don't think weather's going to be too much of a factor. It will be cold, but I don't think it's anything that's going to play too much into this.
One thing you didn't mention that I think we have to look at is you got to look at the safeties from Baltimore. You know, Roquan Smith, number one. I mean, that guy's a beast, man. All-Pro, 156 tackles. And you got Patrick Queens, second-team All-Pro, 133 tackles. That's a lot of tackles coming from the safety spots, right?
Yeah.
So do you dink and dunk? That's my question. Or do you try to stretch it out? You know, a lot of it's going to come down to is can they run the ball? That play action's got to be something that can do it. If the Texans can run the ball, I think this is going to be a lot closer. If it was 10, I would take the Texans plus 10. I think I agree with you. I'm going to take the 9.5 and the Texans as well. Mark it down.
Mark it down. We're in agreement. Also, for anyone who likes their teasers, teasing the Texans here is great. Love the teaser. Love the Texans in a teaser spot here. You move them 6 points, you get them at 15.5. That's 2 full scores. Love that. I'll give you a second leg to tease it with later. But again, Ian thinks the Ravens are going to win. I wouldn't be. I mean, I think they're going to win, but I wouldn't be shocked. I'm saying I wouldn't be shocked if you see an upset alert here. All right, let's move on to our next game. And here's my other teaser leg I'll give you. But Niners and the Packers. Listen, the Packers looked great last week. I think it comes to an end here. Okay, I really do. I think the 49ers are one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best team. I think there's one team that's slight edge on them right now. But the 49ers, right, offensively, second overall offense, fourth passing, third rushing, third scoring. I mean, their stats are too good, right? The Packers defense, 17th overall. Their passing defense is their only bright spot, really. They're 9th. They're 28th against the rush. Christian McCaffrey's going to have a field day. Deebo Samuel's going to have a field day running some jet sweeps. Ayuk might be running some jet sweeps. I think this game here, 9.5 also. See, this one, I'd be tempted to lay the 9.5 for the Niners and take them. But I was going to give you a second leg of the teaser, teasing the 49ers down to 3.5. I love that. I think the 49ers win this game. They are playing at home. The Packers have looked very, very good. They just demolished the Cowboys, right? Cowboys have a better defense than the Niners do, okay? By all stats, they have a better defense. But the thing here is that the 49ers have an actual coach in Kyle Shanahan, right? You're not dealing with McCarthy. You have guys here, too, who actually have some heart, right? Dak has no heart. These guys do have heart, though, right? McCaffrey's – I'm saying McCaffrey's going to go for a $150, 2 touchdowns. He's going to have a field day. Kittle is going to have a field day. I don't think the Packers have enough coverage in the secondary to keep up with Deebo Samuel, to keep up with Ayuk, to keep up with Kittle, and then, oh, by the way, screens to McCaffrey out of the backfield.
Yeah, I think you hit it all just right. I mean, you hit a lot of the points where I think it starts at the top. You know, Shanahan, coming from a guy from the NFC West, but he's a coach. I mean, he really is. But let's not take a little bit from Love. Love has thrown 21 touchdowns with 1 interception in the last 9 games, I mean, the question is exactly what you put it. Can they stop CMC? No. That guy is the MVP. I'm sorry. I know this is a quarterback-driven league, but that guy can do everything. I mean, if they would let him return kicks, I bet you he would lead the league in kick returns. Green Bay's won 4 in a row. Last week, Love was 16-21, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, like we said, 157 rating. I mean, that's, unbelievable. When you get at 49ers pass defense is, 22 interceptions leading the league. You better watch out. They better watch out because I think they're going to be ready to play. Now, Dobbs surprised everybody with a $156 last week. I think when you get down and you look at this, what's going to happen is if CMC rushes for over 75 yards, they're 10-1. You and I both think he's going to rush well over 75 yards worth of rushing. Okay, so Fred Warner versus and Greenlaw against Aaron Jones. I think that's a matchup to watch. I think Fred Warner, one of the best, right? All time.
Yeah, easily.
Pro. Easily, right? He's one of those guys you just look at and you say, man, I got to stay away from that. You look at Kittle. I agree with you. Kittle's number one tight end this year. I think he's going to absolutely eat up Green Bay's. Who they going to roll out at linebacker? They got
who knows?
They got guys
That's
hurt,
the question.
Yeah, who knows? They're hurt.
And this is the thing, right? It's not necessarily I'm saying the Packers are bad and that the Packers are, they don't belong here because they clearly proved last week that they do. They're just outmatched on both sides of the ball to the point where I don't think they have an answer for it, right? They were outmatched against the Cowboys, but they had an answer for that. The Cowboys, though, don't have the threats on offense that the 49ers have, right? CeeDee Lamb is really your only threat. Okay, Brandon Cooks, whatever. Pollard's been dog doo-doo all year. Don't have to worry about him that much, right? And defensively, yes, they stopped Micah Parsons and they stopped Lawrence from coming in there for the most part, okay? Are you going to stop Nick Bosa and Chase Young coming at you from both sides? I don't think so. That's the thing, right?
They're only going to rush 4. They're going to get home with 4.
They will. And, you were saying if McCaffrey runs over 75 yards, they're 10-1. His line on the sportsbook right now is 89.5. So, they're projecting him to run over that. I think that line is low. I think he's going to have an absolute field day. The only way he doesn't have a field day is this game gets out of hand very, very quickly, which it potentially could. This is the thing. I think Jordan Love's been playing very, very well. He hasn't played a defense like this, right?
Yeah.
They're going to stop Dobbs. He's going to have to spread the ball around. That's the one thing that I don't think he did very well in the Cowboys game. Granted, he didn't have to do it very well. But passing-wise, your number one receiver, Jaden Reed, had no catches in that game, right? Is he poised for more this week? Absolutely, because they're going to be in the passing script most of the game probably. Dobbs had a great game. Is he going to have that kind of game this week? No, right? No, he's going to have
he might only have one catch this week. If you go back and watch this kid over the year, if he has a big game, he's a ghost the next game. So it's either going to be Reed or it's going to be Christian Watson, who's another guy who's been just nowhere for the Packers.
He's been injured most of the season.
Time. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I just think you got Trent Williams, the best left tackle in football. You have the best running back in CMC. Sweep left, let's go. And I think
you got use check blocking.
Kittle's,
I think McCaffrey's going to average 5+ yards a carry in this game. I really do. And that's going to be the problem, right? Again, it's not that the Packers are bad. They're outmatched in literally every position here. The only edge I may give them is Jordan Love is maybe playing better than Brock Purdy. Maybe. Brock Purdy's in the MVP conversation. I don't think he's anywhere near deserves. He's the second best player on the team at best. But,
but he's number one completion percentage at 69%. They got kids still threw for 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, but he had a 113 rating. So I ain't taking. I've watched Purdy play, right? And hey, great find, right? Congratulations to those guys for finding that kid. But don't take anything away from me. But when you got weapons like he does, number one tight end, number one receiver, you got Ayuk who played well. Debo, you don't know what he can do. He can line up in the backfield. He can do an end-around sweep, like you said. Next thing you know, he's streaking down the line, running away from people. I just think there's way too many weapons on the offensive side of the ball for San Francisco. I agree with you. I think the Packers are a great, story for football fans, but to see the Packers come back as fast as they have when they said, hey, we're rebuilding. But you're running up against a juggernaut that's top 3 in offense and defense. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, give the Packers a little bit of pub, too. Their defense, they had 4 sacks last week and 9 QB hits. Okay, that's a lot. But you're not going to do that against San Francisco. I don't think so.
No, I don't either. I mean, I'll be honest, the Packers will be lucky maybe 2 sacks, maybe 4 quarterback hits, but I mean, I don't see it being much more than that.
How many yards and completions is it on the book for Kittle's?
Let's look. Kittle
that might be something sneaky for people to look
53 and a half yards, and then hold on, receptions is over 4.5 is plus 124. That's an interesting line. If you look at what Ferguson just did to them last week.
Exactly.
Ferguson had a career game. He had 10 catches.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Kittle's, well, obviously you and I both think CMC is going to be the main bread and butter here. But I think next is definitely going to be, Kittle's is just, I think is going to have a big game. I really do. And I think he's excited about playing this game. I was listening to him on some stuff that was coming out of San Francisco. I think he's ready to play. I think, they rested up some guys. Hopefully that's, they didn't lose anything in that. That's what I'm always afraid of with guys that win, first round buys is, you got Lamar who hasn't played in 3 weeks, and these other guys didn't play much either. So it's going to be interesting to see what can happen. I just think that, I don't know if that 50.5 is reachable as far as the over under, but I'm leaning on the 9.5. San Francisco, even though, my personal bookie says, hey, don't bet that. Take the underdog if it's double digits. If it's double digits,
with the 9.5, right? The backdoor cover scares me a bit there at the 9.5. That's why I like the teaser at 3.5. With if you tease down the Texans as well. But one sneaky line here that I want to talk about real quick, because we mentioned McCaffrey, we mentioned Kittle.
Yep.
Jawan Jennings, okay? Their third wide receiver here. You know what his over-under on yards is?
Oh, I don't have a clue.
14.5.
Holy moly. Really?
14.5. And his over-under on receptions is 1.5.
Wow.
Sneaky little line there that I may be tapping into a little bit. Just because,
sounds like there's a parlay.
Brock's going to look to spread the ball around a little bit, right? Yep. Especially if in the beginning they establish that run, right? Debo's probably going to get double covered, right? Kittle's going to get a linebacker with safety help over the top. I don't know who's covering Kittle. I don't know what linebacker is going to cover him, but somebody's going to try to cover him. But I wouldn't be shocked if you see some sneaky Jennings crossing routes across the middle of the field.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a little tidbit.
Especially if it gets to be more and more of a blowout, too. And you start looking at that kind of stuff and saying, hey, I just think that this game is the game where you just sit back and you just say, it was funny because CBS Sports, they had Brady Quinn and some other guy talking about one of the number 1 seeds are going to lose. Brady looked at the guy, Brady Quinn did, like, what are you talking about, man? Better chance. I think there's a better chance of Baltimore losing than there is San Francisco
100%.
losing to the Packers.
1,000%. I think the rust will be there in Baltimore a little bit. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but I think it will be there. The Packers are not winning this game though. Now this, we 370 on the money line for, the Texans. The Packers are plus 350 on the money line, even though it's the same spread. This game, I really don't think the Packers even have a chance in this game, to be honest with you. They're outmatched everywhere, as we said. So, all right, Niners in this game. We're both tempted to lay the 9.5. I don't know if I actually would lay the 9.5. I don't like close to double-digit spreads myself. I usually lean underdog in double-digit spreads. But in this game, this game could get out of hand very, very quickly.
Very quickly. Yep, I agree with you.
All right, another good game. I guess, kind of, maybe. Lions and the Bucks. All right, so you got the good story in Detroit, right? That the Bucks have just beat the Eagles. Sorry, Eagles team, though they're not very good. In this game here, though, I think this is another game where the Bucks are just outmatched, right? Said last week the Eagles, it was a tight matchup defensively because both defenses are so trash. The Eagles defense is just a little bit more trash. Um, Lions defensively are not great, 19th overall, right? But their offense is stout. They're third in offense, second overall passing offense, fifth overall rushing offense. Goff has been looking great throwing to Amon-Ra St. Brown and the rookie tight end who's an absolute sensation, Laporta. I mean, that dude
Beast.
is an absolute
Beast.
unit. Like, you know, if CJ Stroud wasn't, the clear favorite for offensive rookie of the year, I think you got to give Laporta a hard look. I
Well,
mean,
he made the Pro Bowl even.
Yeah, I mean, he broke the rookie tight end record,
Yeah.
broke a couple other records. I mean, the dude's an absolute unit. So between him, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the two-headed monster that is David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, listen, the Lions' defense is anything special. They're okay. They're not great. They got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They got a couple other guys who are decent. Aiden Hutchinson coming off the edge, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna give Baker Mayfield some pain. I think those ribs did not look great. I know he balled out, but he was wincing quite a few times. I think Aiden Hutchinson will actually be able to get to him. The Eagles defensive line can't sack anybody, so I think he's going to get sacked in this game. This game here, 6.5 points for the Lions, over under 48.5. This game here, it's another one to me. I love the Lions in this game. I really think the Lions have a very, very good chance of winning this game and playing the Niners in the next round. I don't think the Bucks offense is going to be able to keep up. Yes, they were able to slash the Eagles defense, but I don't think that's going to continue. Baker's another guy who plays well one game and then goes ghost mode the next game. I don't think they're going to be able to do much here. I really don't. They're going to have to pass the ball. The Lions have the second best run defense in the league. Their passing defense is where they suffer. So if Baker can throw the ball, which he does have weapons to throw to, it's possible. But I see the Lions running with this game.
Well, don't forget these guys played each other back in week 6 too, and so the Lions won 20-6. But let's give Baker Mayfield some props, man. The guy flat out balled last week.
Needs his flowers.
Balled. Yeah, he does. And so, hey, good for you. Now go get paid. Go make $25 million a year. Go get paid and get out. But you look what happened with the Lions last week. Goff threw for 350, 2 touchdowns. Ahmad St. Brown had 12 catches for 120 yards and a TD. Okay, that is crazy stats. Flat out crazy stats. I mean, the Rams, they're no pushover. But I'll tell you what.
They have a better defense than the Bucs do.
Exactly. And so when you look at that, 10 yards per attempt from Goff, 10.3 yards, right? And, I think what's going to happen is the Bucs are going to have to blitz a ton. I think Laporta being healthy, there was a lot of questions about that because he got hurt right before the end of the season. But, man, the kid looked like a baller last week. It's amazing what a little Toradol will do to you, right? Give it to me right in the butt and shoot it up. I can do anything with that. But I think the secret weapon here, mark my words on this one, write it down, or record it. Gibbs coming out of the backfield catching the ball. That kid can move. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to do these little dink and dunks, and that kid mows over people. So take a minute while I give you some other stats. What's Gibbs' reception numbers on that? So I think Aiden Hutchinson dominated last week. He had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and he's coming from the guy that's covering the right tackle. I mean, that guy's got a motor just as fast as everybody else. And he's a local kid. He went to Michigan. He wants to do it for the fans. I really like this kid and how he's going to do it. I think the special teams are pretty even when you talk about kickers. I mean, I don't think it's going to come down to that. The Bucks are 7-2 at home this season. I mean, you gotta like that. The Bucks are 5-4 on the road. I think they got the monkey off the back last week. Haven't been in the divisional round since 1991. I know I got a buddy of mine who's from Detroit who was there at the game, and he said, it's just like it was so surreal. I mean, the fans waited around for over an hour after the game was over. So it just goes to show you how that team is really lifting them up. And I think coming into that stadium where it's indoor on the turf, I don't think the Bucks can keep up with them. I'm definitely laying the 6.5 here. I think this is going to be more like a 10 to 13 point swing here. I think they might even double up on it. I just think you can't stop. You get those two guys coming out of the backfield with Josh Reynolds now healthy and not in trouble, taking some pressure away from Amon St. Brown, who's pissed off because he got bypassed for the Pro Bowl, showing everybody, I'm here to play. And I think these guys are going to handle it. Now, don't get me wrong, the Bucks got great tandem receivers. Ott doesn't do too bad either as the tight end. Rashad White
looked like vintage Gronk.
Yeah. But I mean, when you look at Ott, he's a good, serviceable kid if they can find him when he's open. Rashad White, he rushed for 950-something yards this year. Yeah, 7 touchdowns or something like that. Good for him. But when you look at what they have on offense in Detroit, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. That's why I see the over-under 48.5. I don't know if it's going to be. I steer away from that over-under. But when you look at it, I think there's going to be some really good opportunities. The Lions are hungry. Dan Campbell is a guy that everybody wants to play for. I mean, he's just the way the guy handles himself, the passion that he gets into it, how he gave a ball to the defense or offensive coordinator after the game. I can't remember the guy that came in with him. You could just feel the emotion through the TV if you're watching that. And it was just awesome to see. So I don't think these guys are done yet. I think they want a showdown with the big dogs, right? They want to show they're in. I just hope they wear those cool new helmets that they were wearing a couple weeks ago. Were those cool or what? I called my buddy up. I said, "Where did you guys get those? Those are tight, man. You got to leave those on." So, but hey, kudos to the Bucks, man. But I think it's time for you guys to go bye-bye.
I agree. I think they're going to be sailing off on their ship. Jahmyr Gibbs' line, by the way, 23.5 over under receiving yards and 3.5 catches is the line right now.
Oh, I'd take the over on the receiving yards right now.
And the thing too is with Detroit, right? Like they actually have a coaching staff, unlike the Eagles, they'll switch when they're getting blitzed and they'll do things like that. The Eagles don't, right? I mean, Todd Bowles blitzed 66% of the it's close to 66. It might not be 66 exactly. Close to 66% of the plays, he blitzed the Eagles' offensive line. And they had no answer for it because they didn't try to answer it. They just kept doing what they were doing. And that's why the game ended the way they did. The Lions will not do that. The Lions will get around it, and they will do what they need to do. The other thing is Detroit's offensive line is sneaky good.
Yeah.
Right? I know the Eagles supposedly have the best offensive line in football. Okay. But when you have the wrong plays being called, the Lions are going to be calling the wrong plays, and they're going to adjust if they need to adjust. The thing is, I don't think the Bucs are going to be able to get that much pressure on Goff, and when they do, he's going to burn them, right? Laporta over the middle. Jameson Williams over the middle. That dude is incredibly fast. You throw the ball to him to some open field, look for the yak after that, right? Yeah. He's going to dump it to Gibbs. He's going to dump it to Montgomery. The other thing, too, is that they're not going to be able to blitz as much because of the threats they have downfield, right?
Well, and you have to look at it. Yeah. But the Bucs, they're like 29th in pass defense. They give up almost
they're terrible.
249 yards average.
Yep.
I mean, that's terrible against guys
23
that
touchdowns against them.
Yeah. That just goes to show you they're going to want to throw the ball. I think the Bucs are going to. The Lions are going to throw the ball a ton. And all that's going to
100%.
do is set up the run. That's just going to set up the run. It's funny. Do you use the run to set up the pass, or do you use the pass to set up the run? I think those little dink and dunks, watching Gibbs when he gets that, that 23, oh, man, I would be running to the bank on that. I would. That's my lock and load of the week right there.
I like it. That's a good line. I like it. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, Amon-Ra St. Brown's playing, right?
Yep.
You have other threats, Laporta. The Eagle, like
Reynolds.
The Bucs had a different game plan for the Eagles because AJ Brown was out.
Yeah.
Right. And Devontae Smith 8. Okay.
148 yards. He had 148 yards.
And then they knocked out Julio Jones with a concussion, right? And then who you throwing to? Olamide Zaccheaus, Quez Watkins. Shit, I could play wide receiver better than Quez Watkins, all right? Don't worry about him. The Lions have better receivers in this instance, right? Not as a whole. I'll give Amon-Ra St. Brown the nod over A.J. Brown slightly, even though A.J. Brown made the Pro Bowl. But in terms of, like, who's playing in this game, right? Their wide receivers are far better than the Eagles receivers that were playing on Monday night.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I think, like you said, right, it's gonna be a game where they're gonna who knows? Are they gonna run? Are they gonna pass? Which one's gonna set up which? They're gonna get the ball down the field however they want, that's for sure. And they're gonna make the Bucs pay. And I think Baker Mayfield will get sacked multiple times in this game. Aiden Hutchins is gonna have a good game. And he's going to be hurting. Those ribs are going to be hurting.
Yeah, and that's tough to throw down deep. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of Mike Evans. A guy that's 10 years, 1,000 yards every year. That guy's a stud, and he plays hurt a lot of times. Godwin's good too. But when you look on the other side defensively, it's not even close. So I think that's where it's going to matter. It's going to be very methodical. You're going to see they're up by 3, they're up by 7, they're up by 10. You know what I mean? It's going to be very methodical. They might give up, but they're just going to turn around and score more. So I think,
the thing that helped the Bucs too, they got out to an early lead and they just kept scoring. They scored in their first 3 drives. Granted, 2 of them were field goals, but they still scored on every drive. They're not going to be able to do that in Detroit. The thing that's going to be what comes down to, though, to me is, especially with the over-under, how many times is Detroit going to score, right? Detroit scored at will in the first half against the Rams. They didn't do it in the second half, right? Not really anyway. The Eagles were not scoring points. So the Lions will score points, though. That's one of the things the Lions do, right? If you look at their they average 27.1 points per game. That's basically 4 touchdowns a game that they average. And they played some good defenses this year. When you put them up against a subpar defense who lets up on average 19 points a game, that 27 looks a lot more like 30-something to me. Right?
Yep.
And Jen just joined us. Jen, you're going to have to go back and review our discussion on the Niners. We just talked about them.
No. Let's get back to this time last year. What happened this time last year?
Oh, it was a game for the ages. And someone still owes me a dance, but we won't go there.
A shirt and a dance, I think.
She has the shirt.
I know. Yeah.
It says Daddy D-Gen on the back. Anyway.
Oh, does it really? You even got it to say Daddy D-Gen? That's awesome.
All right. That's enough. Right. That's enough of this game. Lions roll in this one. All right.
Lions. All right,
this is my game of the week. This is my game of the week.
How can it not be the game of the week, man? This might be game of the playoffs right here. At least for the AFC. I think
so. It might be.
Yeah.
It might be. All right. We have the Bills, the 2-seed Bills up against the 3-seed Chiefs. Bills are 2.5-point favorites, over under 45.5. They are playing in Buffalo. I think I kicked off the last 2, so Ian, I'm going to send this one over to you. Man, let's see what you have to say.
I got so much information on this game just because I got so deep into it, right? I'm so excited about watching this game, especially after last week, and just watch what the Bills did to Pittsburgh, and obviously Kansas City being the defending champs. Let's roll it out. So these guys are 2-2 against each other. Okay, or 3-3, excuse me. So this is the old, is this going to be Bradshaw versus Starbuck type routine, right, from back in the day, or is it going to be Brett Favre against Steve Young, whatever, right? You got the Bills coming in on a 6-game win streak. You got the Chiefs on a 3-game win streak. The Bills are 8-2 at home. We're definitely playing at home, especially after that snowstorm. I loved watching the Pittsburgh fans, the dad and his mom and his kid in snow up to here trying to find their seats. Hey, next time pay for the good seats so that they're shoveled out by the time we get going there. Allen is just a beast, man. 27.5 points per game the last 4 home games. But the one that really surprised me is Cook. Cook's coming on as a running back. 83 yards, last week, 53 yards rushing. I think when you seriously get down and look at this and you're looking at offensive line against a good defensive line, George Kalakis, had 6 tackles last week, 3 quarterback hits, and 1.5 sacks against Spencer Brown, who's given up 6 sacks. And then you got Chris Jones on the other side, who is always going to be the guy that's just right there. But you're talking about, Kansas City's, DBs. Boy, you really saw what they did last week, didn't you? I mean, they're pushing Cheetah down, pushing him down to the ground. I mean, Cheetah got
shut him down.
One.
And Waddle.
Shut him down. Yeah, of course. KC's pass defense is ranked 8th. Yards per game 4th. The best matchup's going to be Snead, the guy who just shut down Cheetah, against Diggs. Last time they played, Diggs had 11 targets for only 24 yards of receiving. I was shocked to see that, right? Knox is back. Doug Knox is back at tight end. I mean, that's in Kincaid. Knox has had a touchdown in both of the last 2 games he's played. I think that's going to be huge. I mean, Cook had 18 carries for 79 yards against Pittsburgh. I think when you go back, Kansas City's not very good against the rush. So what's going to happen? Are they going to spy Allen? Are they going to let it go? That's going to be something they can look at. But KC's overall D's only allowing 17 points per game, 2nd in yards per game. You got the Bills offense that's 6 points per game, 4th in points, yards per game. But on 3rd down, this was what's shocking to me. Did you know Buffalo has the number 1 offense in 3rd down conversions? I was shocked.
I did know that. I do have that on my stat sheet.
Here I am stealing your stats. I was just shocked to read that myself. So, I mean, I think when you look at this, I mean, there's all kinds of just matchups against, Kelsey does not – I think Kelsey's he's ready to explode. He's got to show his girl who's man now. And I think for sure, I mean, and you're talking about the Bills defense. Talk about hurt linebackers. Didn't they bring somebody off the street last week or 2 weeks ago and played almost the whole game last week? How are you going to guard a beast that's, Travis Kelce? Now, I'll admit right now, I was wrong last week. We both, I don't know what you said, but I said Rice take the under in 53.5, and I said take the under. That kid blew up. I mean, he went off. 12 targets, 8 receptions, 130 yards, and a TD. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? And so, Mahomes, people don't know this, is he averages the most when he scrambles for first downs. He has the most. He's ran the last 2 of them. He ran for 25 yards apiece against Pittsburgh. Man, I tell you what. And Bass, let's end it on, and I'll turn it over to you. Let's talk about special teams. Bass looked terrible last week. Now, he's playing in, Armageddon, which was Snowville, winter storm watch 2024. But still, you can't miss extra points in the playoffs, especially when you're playing against the Chiefs, right? I think when it all comes to push to shove, I think this is going to be the game of the week. I think when you go back and you look at, the Bills defense, you got the Bills Mafia there. I think this is going to be something that we're going to sit back next week at this time and say, man, what a good game we watched. I think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as some people like to think. There's a lot of people that were saying, oh, yeah, this is going to be, one that's going to definitely score some points. I don't know how. But I'm looking at it, 2.5. Bills get 3 for being the home squad. So they're basically saying Vegas is saying it's a pick 'em. I just think that, they're going to find a way. Kansas City's going to find a way to win this game. I'm taking Kansas City plus the 2.5.
To win also, or just plus the 2.5?
To win also.
Ian. All right. First of all, before
my brother's laughing at me right now. By the way, he's probably up there. You dummy.
I'm sure he is. I'm laughing at you too.
I know you are.
Say
That's
hi
what's great
to
about
SJ, because SJ's in the house. What's up, SJ?
SJ, how you doing, partner?
All right. You mentioned. I'm going to touch on your last point first. You mentioned special teams. All right. The Bills had to sign a punter today because they don't have a punter. I don't know if you saw. The guy pulled his hamstring last week.
Blew his hammy out. Yeah.
Yeah. So they signed a punter, right? The other thing with this game too, right? This game is what, 3 years ago, one of the most legendary games in all the playoffs. I mean, that game, they changed leads 3 times in the last 2 minutes of the game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That was an insanity of a game, right? So, you're on the Chiefs, okay? I understand everything you said. I get it, okay? My mind tells me the Chiefs in this one, all right? Mine tells me to agree. You got Andy Reid. You got Patty Mahomes. Travis Kelce, right? I'm sure Taylor Swift will be there. Okay, we'll be cutting to the camera 16 times to see her, right? By the way, did you see her and Mama Kelce doing the swerve after the game? That was legendary, okay? Legendary. But, all right, Chiefs, okay? Second best defense overall, all right? I'm not taking anything away from them. They're playing great. The one thing that they have struggled with defensively is the run, believe it or not. Okay?
Yeah.
Now,
terrible.
I think James Cook is going to have a day. Okay? I think he's going to have to have a day. I think Josh Allen is going to have a day running the ball. Okay? His over-unders are like 40-something right now, I think. I think he's going to go over that.
They're 28th on rushing defense, by the way.
They're terrible. They're terrible.
They're terrible.
They're really bad. I won't go over third down since you went over that already. Bills offense, right? 4th overall. Chiefs offense, 9th overall. Defensively, the Bills are 9th overall. Chiefs are 2nd overall, right? So it's kind of a toss-up to me, whatever. Chiefs offense, good. Bills defense, pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Bills offense, great. Chiefs offense or defense, great, right? So you're looking at a good matchup on both sides of the ball here. And I think the Chiefs have that winning pedigree. I really do. Obviously, they've won so much. They have Reid and Mahomes who just seem to figure it out every single time. But I think the Bills are the hottest team in the NFL right now. I think they are the hottest team in the NFL. That snowstorm couldn't even cool them down. Okay? This game, I really hope it lives up to what we expect it to be and what everybody expects it to be. On Sunday, if you're not watching this game, you don't like football. I don't even care 100%. If you hate both of these teams, right?
100%.
You don't like football if you're not watching this game. What it comes down to for me is how well can the Bills run the ball to open up the pass. I think Diggs is going to have an okay day. I think he's going to get shut down for the most part. I think Knox and Kincaid are going to be the 2 leading receivers for Buffalo, believe it or not. I think Diggs will be the 3rd receiver on Buffalo, especially with Davis out, right? I mean, he's not out officially, but he probably will be. He's got a knee injury.
Yeah.
If Davis is playing in this game, strong edge to the Bills, in my opinion. You got 4 guys you're throwing the ball to, plus James Cook, who's come on real strong. Like I said, I think the Chiefs, but I got to take the Bills in this one. I got to take the Bills at home, 2.5 points. I'm joining Bills Mafia right now. Okay? One of my buddies from high school plays on the Bills, so I do have to include that in as part of my reasoning here. I'm rooting for him. All right? I was telling him before, earlier this week. I'm hoping for the best. All right, I really want them to win. This is Patty Mahomes' first away game too in the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah.
Very interesting there. Don't know how he's going to play on the road. We know how he plays at Arrowhead. Not that Arrowhead's much different than Buffalo, right? In terms of temperature wise and everything else, it's going to be about the same. It's about the same, right? It's not like the Chiefs haven't played in cold weather before. Um, I like the Bills here. I really do.
All right.
Oh, by the way,
so let me just try to sway you back over to the Chiefs. All right. Let me try that. Okay. Listen here. This is what's going to come down to. Mark, write it down. Lock and load. Ready? Last week, the Bills gave up 5 receptions, 76 yards to a scrub like Fairman. Not a scrub. He top 10 tight end. Last week, Kelsey got back in the game, 10 targets, 7 receptions, 71 yards. Be careful.
Well, I'm not saying Kelsey's not going to eat. He's going to eat. But Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are going to – all right, listen. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are like the best duo in the football league, in National Football League. All right? Those two are studs together. I think they're going to play great. I really do. I think Kelsey's going to have a day. I really do. I don't think Rice is going to have the day. And then who else are you throwing to? I mean, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, dude can't catch a ball.
Can't catch
that dude's got serious butter on his fingers to the point where the books don't even have a line on him.
You can't. Can you?
No, really because he drops everything, right?
Yeah.
So I really think the Bills have a good chance to win this game. I really do. I don't like the Chiefs, so that's also part of this. But I do think the Bills are going to edge this game out. By the way, Jen, she said she suspects no football on the cruise ship. You want to know what DGen did to get football on the cruise ship? I went to the casino.
Okay. You got an iPad.
Streaming sucks on the cruise. Here's what you got to do. Okay.
That's why I hate it.
Jen, you got to go to the bar in the casino. Okay. And you got to make friends with them. All right. Tip them for your drinks, all that kind of stuff. On Sunday when it's game time, about 30 minutes prior to game time, though, because it takes a minute to get set up, you got to ask them for the game. And if they tell you no, say, can you stream it? And if they say no, tell them that you know how to do it. You find your own stream for the game. If you need help with that, you text me. I will help you. I can send you links for everything pretty much. And you stream the game in the cruise ship. I did it when the Eagles were in the playoffs in 2017, believe it or not. The first round of the playoffs when they won the Super Bowl. Girlfriend DJ and I were on a cruise at the time. And I put the game on. I got it on in the bar. You know how many Eagles fans were in that casino bar while we were docked? Yeah. Insane. It was nuts. But we'll see. Joe, could the game be moved? Potentially. Depends how bad it comes down. Lake effect snow is very, very bad. I dealt with it for 4 years when I was in college because I went to school in upstate New York. It depends how the lake effect comes through. I think the game will be played at this time. However, it depends how quickly the Buffalo snow removal crews can get things out of there. But, yeah, I think, and SJ said it right here, right? Should be a good game. I think this is the game of the weekend by far, right? With maybe potentially the Texans-Ravens game being a close second, depending how the Texans play and the Ravens play for that matter. I think the Bills, though, and he put in there that the Bills are a bit like the Cowboys of the AFC. I think the Bills have a little bit of a better coaching staff. They have guys who actually want to win, and they show up. You got to look at it this way, right? The Bills at one point this year were 6-6 out of the playoffs, right? Not even in the wild card spot.
Yeah.
And every game for them was basically they must win. What they do, they went on and won 5 straight, right? And they looked dominant in those wins too. So I think that in this game, it's the same thing here, that it's going to be that They're going to show up. They're going to win. That's why I'm saying they're the hottest team right now, right? It's not that they're the best team in the NFL by any stretch of the imagination, because they're not. Roster-wise, they're nowhere close to the 49ers roster, right? But the way that they have been playing as of late has been very, very good. The Chiefs have been playing well themselves, don't get me wrong, right? But I think the Chiefs, they show up in some spots and they don't show up in others. And they've been a classic team this year of showing up in one game and not showing up in the next. They showed up against the Dolphins. Wouldn't be shocked if they don't show up here. They will play a good game, right? Because they have to. It's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. But I think the Bills have an edge here. I really do. Just my 2 cents on it.
So we bet are we betting dinner for down at the next Craps for the Cure in October?
I'm down.
All right, write it down, Jen. You're the witness.
Are we
dinner at Carmine's? Good Italian
spreads,
food.
Spreads or money line?
Yeah, of course I want the 2.5. Yeah, of course I want the 2.5. I'm not crazy.
I'm just making sure. I need to know what I'm agreeing to here. Jen asked if the over-under. Yeah, I got you. Jen said, do we think if the over-under seems high? So typically I would say yes, this over-under is high for this temperature, this time of the year. These two teams, though, I mean, last time they played in the playoffs, it was, 42-36 or something like that, right? So, they basically clipped the over themselves each. So I think the over is – I think it's high. I would lean under in this game. I wouldn't touch the over-under in this game, but I would lean under. If you put a gun to my head and made me pick, I would pick the under. But apparently Jen wants in on the bet. I don't know what she wants in on, but the Bills are going to beat your 49ers. Actually, your 49ers aren't even making it to the Super Bowl. What did I just say?
That's it, Jen. He's paying for Carmine's over at Caesar's
Look at
Palace,
this,
man. That's all
Mr.
You can
Successful
eat
Ian and the successful lawyer taking advantage of the 26-year-old. Wow.
Hey,
wow.
Good looks can only get you so far, my friend. Knowledge is king.
It is. No, it's gonna be a good game. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and if not, I've got an attorney that'll bail me out and say I didn't say.
There's no binding contract here.
Exactly.
It was only a verbal agreement. It wasn't in writing.
Exactly.
Do I have to send this to you, via DocuSign and get you to notarize it and everything for me?
Yeah, no kidding.
But all right, we'll quickly go over recap here of the games. I'm gonna flip back to here, and Jen wants to dance in a bikini now. Jen, you still owe me a dance, so I'm not even gonna take a bet with you because you still owe me a dance.
Exactly. We're waiting for video of that too. There's got to be video of that.
By the time Jen does this, I'm probably going to be retired by the time she finally owns up to her end of the bet.
Not only that, but I think we could sell it to Waylon.
I think so, too. I think I could sell it to everybody. We're going to make a Craps OnlyFans over here.
Oh, that's classic. All right.
There you go. Jen just said it. Oral agreements are binding for 1 year.
Perfect. We're in.
And Mel, yes, you're right. I do not have a mind, so I can't lose it. It's not possible.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Quick recap. Baltimore, Houston. Ian has Baltimore. I also think Baltimore will win the game. However, I wouldn't be shocked for Houston on upset alert, like I said in the beginning. This is the one game that I'd watch upset alert on. I wouldn't call the Kansas City Buffalo game big upset alert. It's only 2.5 points. Upset alert potential though here. I would take Houston on the spread. I think you agree, right? You said Houston on the spread, Baltimore to win though.
Yep.
Okay. San Francisco, Green Bay. San Francisco outclasses Green Bay in literally every aspect. I don't think there's a single position that Green Bay has an edge in. So San Francisco wins that game easily.
Same
Detroit,
thing for
Tampa Bay,
me.
we like. Yep, we like Detroit in this game. Beat Tampa Bay, and then Ian and I differ on this game. He has Kansas City. I have Buffalo. We'll see where that goes. Joe wants us to do a handshake, a gentleman's agreement. So, Ian, a virtual handshake to you, and we'll get our agreement in there. So, I think this is a very nice breakdown. I think we got some very good games to watch this
For
weekend.
sure.
Looking
For
forward
sure.
to them.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
I just think the KC Buffalo game is going to be a game that we're going to sit back and say, man, I'm glad I watched that game. I really am. I think Detroit's going to have a come out party. I think that's another game where we sit back and we say, wow, they are definitely a team that's up on the rise. Now, can they get past that? I don't know. But let's take a look at that. That's next week. Let's focus on this week. I'm excited about just football as it is. I just hope the weather doesn't play anything into it. I hate that. I know that's part of football. It always has been. You go back to the Ice Bowl. You go back to who'd Chicago play that time in Chicago? Where it was so foggy you couldn't even see the field.
You could barely see the defensive line in front of you.
Exactly. I get that, but I just want these guys to be able to sit down and let's go at it. We only got a couple weeks left of football, and then we're into baseball season. So, and my Mariners have made any moves, so I'm looking forward to this and figuring out who we're going to get for a coach. But I think it's going to be a good weekend, Chris. I appreciate you having me on. If anybody's got any questions, hit us up. Let us know. More than happy to help you guys out.
Yep, for sure. Apparently, Jen's going to text me for a parlay. I know some people want those, so I should have did it while Ian was talking, but I know people like these money line parlays. So if you want what I think is an absolute lock of a money line parlay, the odds are not great. All right, I'm going to tell you that's minus 150. The 49ers and the Lions both to win, I think, is an absolute lock. Like I said,
Agreed.
I like the Houston's teased. I like the Niners teased. I like the Lions teased to like a pick 'em basically. But if you want a straight money line parlay that I love this week it's minus 150. I don't love that because I don't like betting minus 150 parlays. But Niners money line, Detroit money line is to me a guaranteed lock.
And don't forget some of those money shots that we talked about. I think Gibbs is going to be big. I think Kittle's is going to be big. I think Kelsey. We didn't talk about what Kelsey's line was, but I think Kelsey's going to have another big line as well.
I can tell you what it is. He's gonna have a pretty good line. I think he's gonna have a great game. Right, wouldn't be shocked by that. He's over under 60.5.
I'd take that too. So I'd parlay Gibbs and all three of them. I would, if you want to throw 10, 20 bucks on, 25 bucks on Gibbs over, Kelsey over, and then what was the third one you and I said we wanted to take? There was one other one.
I liked Juwan Jennings. I said that.
Oh yeah, you like Jennings at $14.
But
14
you
years.
liked,
No, there was one other one. I just said.
Who was the other one?
CRS disease. Can't remember crap.
That's what I'm sitting here like. We just talked about it, and I can't remember who it is now. Gibbs.
Kelsey.
Kelsey. Oh, no. I'm having a senior moment. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. And I got too many notes here to be able to pummel through it.
Oh, McCaffrey over rushing.
Oh yeah, McCaffrey 75 or over 80. What was it? 82.
89.5.
89.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Kittle. Kittle was it, Jen? You're right. It was Kittle, not McCaffrey. It was Kittle.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. I can't remember. Talked about too many guys, but all right.
No kidding.
Ian, appreciate you coming on as always. For everyone who's in chat, appreciate you guys all being here and interacting and all that kind of good stuff. We'll be back next week. talking about the AFC and NFC championship matchups. Should be a good one. We will.
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
Jen, yes, you're not wrong. I did graduate recently. Yes. Got held
What?
back 15 times, but no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't. Graduated my master's recently. Not from college, really. Nah, I guess 4 years, not too long. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. But we'll be back next week. And like Ian said, if you guys have any questions in the meantime, feel free to hit us up. Looking forward to a great weekend of football this week, and hopefully some classic games ending on Sunday night. I'm sure you and I will be texting during that game.
For sure.
And
Especially
again,
during that game.
hope everyone has a good rest of your week, good weekend, good football watching. And don't forget, everybody, please, if you listen to one thing I ever say, listen to this. Please bet smart. If you are going to bet, the tips we're giving you are opinions. They're not guaranteed for financial success. Please do not bet with more money than you can afford to lose. And I love you all, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.